Hello and welcome to Cricket 360. Today, India is going to play West Indies for the second T20, and they have a chance to hopefully seal the series, just like they did in the ODI series. I have Joyinda with me. He must be very busy with commentary and watching the game at Rajkot. Joyinda, before we talk about T20, just want to get a quick few thoughts about what does it feel like to kind of see young players back in the Ranji circuit? How's the Ranji tournament been so far? I know it's early days, but any quick thoughts will be interesting for our audience.
Yeah, it's great to see, for the simple reason that, there wasn't a Ranji Trophy for close to 705 days later, Ranji Trophy started. And, apart from the fact that it is the nursery for our red ball cricket, our test cricket, we did not do well in South Africa. A couple of the players, there are some questions about their form. So who are the players who are going to be replacing them? This is the Ranji Trophy from where the players are produced for red ball cricket. For white ball cricket, we have the Vijay Hazares, we have the Mustaq Alis. They have been happening every year. But because Ranji Trophy is a longer tournament, 4-day travel, a lot more involved, so which is why I could not have it. And kudos to the BCCI for being able to put it down in spite of it. It's supposed to happen a month earlier, happening a month later. Yes, the format is different. Out of four teams, only one team qualifies. It's a tough call out there, but at least it's happening. And at the end of the day, a very important point is that it's a bread earner for the journeyman of domestic cricket. There are some people who will never get an IPL contract, who will never go on to play for India. But this puts food on the plate for them. This pays for their insurance. This pays for their children's education, for their parents looking after. So this is a regular job. And for 1 year not to have a job, although BCCI have been awesome at compensating them, but you really want to play. You want to get paid and you want to play and get paid.
Very well said. I mean, this is the point about professional sports, that it is not just entertainment, but this is people have given their lives, people have trained hard for 10, 15 years, and this is what they look for. I mean, I was reading a column a while earlier about even experienced players like Faiz Fazal, who probably, I'm not sure. I mean, they probably still hope to play for India, but with every year passing, perhaps many realize that maybe this is the highest level they'll ever play for, and that in itself means a lot, because playing first class cricket in itself is phenomenal for especially for a country like India. At the same time, if I just look at the early scorecards, it's great to see young talents like Yash Dul scoring a century. Just comes back from winning a World Cup, gets into Delhi, scores a century against Tamil Nadu. At the same time, the young Shah from Maharashtra has scored a century on debut. There's a young lad on debut scored a triple century from Tripura. At the same time, you have seniors like Ajinkya Rahane, who are obviously trying to make a solid case. He scores a century, and you have Sarfaraz, who's again making a case. I mean, just wonderful stories. And this is just just some of these stories. I mean, on the batting side, I'm sure on the bowling side. In fact, during the IPL auction, I remember Joydipta as well as some of our panelists was talking about, from Himachal, Rishi Dhawan. I mean, he's scored a very handy set of runs as well. So I think, whilst the IPL T20 tournaments, and we'll talk about that obviously, but whilst it has a place, it's so good to see, good first class cricket, hard fought tournaments across the country. I mean, Joydipta is sitting in Rajkot, but the matches are happening all across. And, before we get to the T20 series, Joydipta, do you think the way we have seen players move from IPL to international cricket? You've seen the Natarajans and so many others who have made their way, into the Indian side. On the other side, do you see any potential of, talented folks who express themselves in Ranji, of course, in a longer format? Do you see them ever kind of making a case for the ODIs? Of course, Ranji will lead to test, but on the shorter format, do you see a reverse behavior ever happening, or that's not likely?
Yeah, it's a longer road. It's not as smooth a road as T20 is. Somebody does IPL straight away plays. Somebody does well in Mustaq Ali plays the IPL, does well plays for India. That road is a lot shorter. This one is a longer road. You made a very good point. So some of these players, if you're in the fringe of playing for India, if you're an Abhimanyu Ishwaran, a Priyank Panchal, a Ishan Porel, and you're in the periphery, a Nagaswala, in the periphery of the Indian team, not playing 2 seasons is like 20% of your career gone. The
Absolutely.
blessed play 10, 12 years, the blessed ones. Many people have 7, 8 year careers. In 7, 8 year career, if you don't play for 2 years, then that's 40% of your career not being there. And how do you create an impact? How you tell the selectors, I'm the one. instead of X, Y, Z, I'm the one, whether it be batsman, bowler. And so, to answer your question, I think it's this is a tougher one because this grind is tougher, this exam is tougher. So we'll have to take it a longer route. So this Ranji performance will just get you into some Dilip Trophy teams. Will just get you into some India A teams. From there, it'll just get you into some, touring team matches, Irani Cup, and then is the big one. So I think it's tougher to play Test cricket for India than it is to play T20 and one day cricket.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, talking about, it's just unbelievable how hard it must be for a player to make his or her way all the way through all these different ladders right up to the international side. Let's talk about the T20 game, second T20 at the Eden Gardens. Jadita, now let's talk about the fact India has won. We spoke about that, victory sometimes kind of tends to hide certain, weaknesses in a team. But given this whole experimentative process that Team India is going through, do you foresee or would you like to see any sort of changes that India should make at this juncture, or should we first settle the series with the winning combination? We know West Indies has chosen to field, but from a team composition, what would be your desire?
No, I think the team is fine. I think it's the intent of the team, the roles that are given. I would want ideally, and I'm sure that's already in the plans, one, two, three, one out of one, two, three to be able to bat 14 or 15 overs. That is your main target. Then, everybody bats around you. It's a short game and you'll be in a good place. So Rohit gave it away after scoring 40. Ishan Kishan gave it away. Virat played an extravagant shot, but he's too good. It's just a matter of time. I think I liked what the skipper said about him. Just leave him alone. And when he played that long,
Yeah.
there will be a little downtime. I mean, all the greats of Indian and world cricket have been through that. But because he is what he is, because he's been through what he has in the last couple of months, it's sort of magnified, and I feel for him. Having said that, I just want the intent to be more. I just feel that, just get your roles in order. I still think we are a fabulous, fabulous white ball team. And, people like Ishan, Kishan, Surya, Kale is going to get back into the team. I would want Rishabh Pant to be more consistent if he's going to bat that far up. If he's not, then give him a couple of notches later when he can come and play freely. So these are the questions. Getting a house in order. I think that everything has been ordered. Now it's just get a good cook to cook it.
Well said. Let's see how well does India cook. At the same time, let's talk about West Indies. Holder is going to be back. We know how good a side this is. It's just a question of getting the team composition. And if this is their first T20, if you were on the West Indies camp, what would you be looking to change based on the lessons they learned in the first game? Obviously, they would obviously want to get past that 180 mark. They know that their spin bowling has done fairly well. I mean, Chase bowled a beautiful, beautiful spell that today India would be bowling second. You could be a factor. What should West Indies, should they tinker around with their batting order? What should they likely do today?
No, they should just play the Indian spinners better. That's where they lost the plot in the last game. They had the game under control. They came out all guns blazing, hammer and tongs at the fast bowlers. They had India on the back foot. But once the spinners came, not only did they get out, they couldn't get 6 runs and over. Now, if you can't
Yeah.
get 6 runs and over in T20 game at that Eden runs wicket, then you'll always struggle. And there were two spinners, and everybody knows them in and out. Chell has been playing for India in the IPL for years. You've got videos from every angle whatsoever, front, back, top, down, everything. You've got your videos. So do you have for Rahul Chahar. And there are no mystery spinners. But I am a little surprised, Sunil Narayan playing a half an hour flight away in Bangladesh, and he's not in this team. He's bowling 424 every day, gets a 16, 17 ball 50, wins his team the game. I think somebody like him would really give this West Indies team a lot of balance. I don't know what their internal issues are, but I can't imagine somebody could be half an hour away, a half an hour flight away, playing for their franchise and not playing for their country because he is a handful.
Now, this is something that is always perplexing. We saw this in the World Cup. We're seeing it now that they are such a wonderfully talented unit with, especially in this format. But clearly, there are certain internal issues solved. I can't imagine a Sunil Narayan not walking into, many sides, not just the West Indies. But well, they have to manage with, what they've got. And let's talk about that fact. I want to touch on that technicality. With so much data, so much, footage available, does that, as a batsman, as a cricketer, how much of it would be helpful versus just overwhelming? I mean, you can feed me as much data as you want. Does it get easier with all that information to change, or is it too much of an overwhelming experience today?
It can be a bit too much unless you've played the person. See, one is knowing what to do, the other is
That's right.
facing it. So when we are taught driving, there are some things that are taught in driving lessons. But when we are alone and we've got our license and we face that issue where you got to park that car in a tight spot, no matter how much lessons you have, it's never easy. It's never easy. And it's like that. So they have the knowledge, but when the ball is coming out of the hand, they don't have the skill set. They've not been able to replicate that bowling in practice. See, this is not something that a bowling machine can do. If this was 92 miles per hour and India has two bowlers which West Indies can't sort, you put it in the bowling machine, you zip it at 95 and get ready. But
Well said.
spin is such an art. There's a lot of guile. There's a lot of artistry to it. And for all the science that there is, the bowling machine cannot replicate that. Which is why, unless you play him enough, unless you play a Rashid Khan enough, unless you play a Chahal enough, unless you play a Kumble enough, the information is there. I'm sure the information was there as well. I would just like to see them maybe go with the right intent, maybe get the same runs, maybe fail, but not try to hit him against the spin, not play him as a leg spinner. Because if he spins the leg spin, then nobody can get runs against him. But he's known to have drift and he slides the ball in and he varies outside off stump. He bowls that slider. If from there he can spin the leg spin a foot, he'll be the numero uno bowler in the world without a shadow of doubt. But that's impossible skill set to have with the action he has. Even Rashid Khan, if you see him, he's not a big turner of the ball. And these wickets are superb. Chahal, different bowler completely. Tosses it up in the air. A old school leg spinner, a traditional leg
Yeah.
spinner, an orthodox leg spinner. So him you play for the turn because he can turn the leg spin like an Amit Mishra. They can turn the leg spin, they can turn the googly. So he's the guy you got to be really careful with. But if I was given the choice of facing either of them, I would face Rahul Chahar any day.
All right. So I think that's some good advice. And I think it's a great insight. I never thought as to why a bowling machine only bowls fast. But you're right. I mean, that will take some sort of innovation to kind of make bowling machines which can offer some spin. Have you seen any machines which bowl spin?
Yeah, they do, but it's all very traditional. Off spin,
Right.
leg spin, but not something that goes like this, leg spin, and goes the other way. That has not
Right.
been replicated. Not where somebody's bowling off spin, Sunil Narayan going with the hand like this and the ball going away. That's not been replicated because we as kids have been told to read the hand and the ball. So
Yeah.
Sunil Narayan has this ball where he with the hand he goes like this. Now everybody will tell you that's the off spinner or that's the one going straight, but that one goes away. He's got that ball. So that's not impossible to replicate in a bowling machine, at least impossible till now. You never know what tomorrow holds.
Of
So
course,
that's the
technology
reason
can
why,
solve.
yeah. So unless you play these guys for a while, I know guys who played Sunil Narayan for a while. I'll tell you a funny story. So when he first came to KKR, he would bowl to the domestic players. He'll bowl to a Debabrata Das, a Lakshminarayan Shukla, a Rajat Bhatia, Manvinder Bisla. But the moment McCullum came to bat, the moment Callis came to bat, the moment all these guys came to bat, he wouldn't bowl to them because he didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. He would just ask
Wow.
me to come on the side and bowl on a single wicket. Now I'm pretty good with my mitt on my left hand, and I have mitted to bowlers of the class of the Chawlas and Sakib and the fast bowlers and Shane Bond and Brett Lee and Shoaib Akhtar. But when he was bowling, I was actually saving my knees because I had no idea which foot was going. So I quickly took the wicket keeping gloves from the keeper and I had two gloves. That way, I had both hands covered. That's how
That's right.
baffling he was.
Phenomenal. I mean, must have been such a, I mean, and that's why I can imagine why you're baffled that he is just across the Ganges on the other side and he's not playing for West Indies. It must be. And again, let's not forget how useful a batsman he is. I mean, KKR, I think you've put it on record that probably the reason KKR won is because both contributions with bat and ball. What a revelation he has been in terms of opening the innings and it's not just, I mean, initially I would probably think this, he was just kind of slogging. But eventually, if you can repeat that in that fashion at that frequency, you definitely it's part of the plan.
I'm,
So
I
well,
must
that
quickly I must quickly tell you
yes,
how he got into batting. So after every session at Eden Gardens, we'd have this center wicket hitting where I'd be lobbing balls just like a spinner, and there would be all these guys hitting sixes. So there would be Brendan McCullum and Gautam Gambhir and everybody else would line up. So Sunil Narine one day would just stand over there, and day after day he would just watch. Somebody, I think Gautam one day told him, "Do you want to have a crack?" He said, "I don't mind." Man, a few words, and then he was hitting it 20 yards past everybody. So
Unreal.
the talent was obviously there. He's one of the most talented people I've met. He doesn't train a lot, doesn't take a lot of catches, does bowls about 20 balls in the nets, and look how accurate he is in the match. So I asked him how he is, a good buddy of mine. So I asked him, how are you so accurate? He said, easy to bowl, difficult to pick. For him, it must be easy, very, very difficult for me to
Sounds so
bowl.
easy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wish
I
cricket
know.
was that easy.
I know.
All right, let's talk about the Indian batting because obviously India is all set to kind of in the next 10 minutes step out there. It was, we spoke about the contrasting, the ball coming to bat, but the way Rohit treated the ball versus the way Ishan was kind of struggling. I believe it was one of the slowest Indian T20 innings in the context of someone playing more than 40 balls. Again, it doesn't matter, India won the game. He probably is good to see Ishan getting, at least getting some time in the middle. But what is very interesting is to see at the end Rohit talking to an Nishan. I'm sure they're Mumbai teammates, and obviously there's a lot of interesting cricket that these two will play together. Now today, when Ishan comes back, two questions really. I mean, is the Kolkata pitch, Eden pitch, likely to kind of behave differently on this particular game? And if you're an Ishan, obviously you've kind of now read the pitch, you've probably understood, hopefully, as to why is it that is it just raw talent for the reason that you're not able to kind of clear or play the way Rohit was? What is Ishan's approach going to be? Should he still take his time, read, or now that he is, should he back himself and just start unleashing himself right from over number one?
So I feel the Eden Guns wicket will be a copy of what it was, because it's the next trip, and Shujan Mukherjee, the curator, does a fabulous job over there, as he does with the pitch and the outfield. That's there to be seen. I also feel the fact that Ishan Kishan has not played in a while is also playing with him. He's a touch player. It's about rhythm for him. It's about things falling in place. And right now, he hasn't played a lot of cricket. In the IPL also, if you remember, he's a slow starter. It's not from the first game he
Yeah,
goes all guns firing. He plays a couple of games and then suddenly hits his mojo. So, I think this continuity will help him. The 3 games on the trot in the same place. And no matter how much you hit balls in the nets, to the sidearm, in the bowling machine, it's nothing like going and playing in the middle. And that is something that that the management has to give Ishan. He's a match winner. He's as much of a match winner in T20 as is Rohit, as is Virat, as is Surya at this point in time. And this is the firepower the Indian team has. If it's not Ishan, it's somebody else. But you want everybody at their 100% when they go into the game. Yes, agreed that it won't be the same guy day in and day out with different people. But make sure their cylinders are full when they enter the ground.
that's right. So that's some interesting perspective on how Ishan, and again, the pitch is likely to be a carbon copy, and what Ishan perhaps will be doing today. And then the next question I had is, in terms of finisher, you were obviously, both of us were just supremely impressed with Surya Kumar. You were obviously ecstatic with the fact that you mentioned that probably the best closer finisher we have. He could even go one down. But when you're playing the first innings, when we're setting a target, do you reckon that there is a scope for him to come a bit earlier? Of course, if the top three or top two don't really perform, to kind of be the sheet anchor to kind of take the innings deep. Is there a difference of approach when you're batting first?
There is a plan for 1 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 14, 14 to 16, and 16 to 20 normally. So that's how they break it up. So I would like Surya to come at a time when there is enough for the others to do. In the sense, let me explain myself. So if he comes in the 12th and gets over in the 14th or 15th for some reason, who is going to be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Who are your guys? If it's Rishabh Pant and right now Shreyash Iyer, I'm not so sure. If it was
Right.
MS Dhoni, I'd be okay. If it was MS Dhoni, the old MS Dhoni, I'd be okay with him going the 12th over. So right now, that's the reason why I feel Surya is more valuable than anybody in the team right now. And that's a big statement.
That's a
Because
huge
what
statement.
he
Yeah.
can do, yeah, because what he can do, very few people can do. At 6, at 5, at 6, even batting first. So your main bowlers are back. 17th over, 18th over, 19th over, 20th over. Those Yorkers, they play with the field, the fine leg up, the fine leg back, the long on up, the long on back, the mid off up, the cover back, point, third man up, these back. So there's a plan in place. Surya reads that like an open book. And then he has the range to hit it over mid wicket, go over covers, or scoop it to third man. So somebody with this sort of range. Rishabh Pant over there will go over long on and clear it 6 times out of 10. But what if it's the other 4 times? So he doesn't have the range, as big a range as Surya does.
That's
So
right. No,
that's the reason
it's
why range is such an important thing. Because as a bowler, I'm more scared of a guy whose range is big. I don't know if this guy hits me over long on and cow corner and deep mid wicket and square leg, I know where to bowl to him. But if a guy is hitting me through short third, he's hitting me over covers, hitting me straight, he's sweeping me, I don't know where to bowl to him. And that's what exactly Surya is doing. There will be days he'll fail, mind you.
sure.
He's not above the game. But the day he plays, he will make batting look very easy.
And good on him. He's been doing that for the last 6, 8 games. I mean, irrespective of format. It's just I think the operative word which you used last time was constructing an innings. And that's probably, he's probably done that so many times. It probably comes with experience. But kudos. And I think this range is important because if you look at the West Indies batting lineup, I mean, Brandon King, Mayers, Puran, I think one of the weaknesses, if I'm on the Indian side, even if I look at Nicholas Puran in the last innings, it was very much mid-wicket cow corner. I think range is, yes, scoring runs, ability to do so is important, but unless you're able to, I think some of the best players, it's that versatility. Sometimes it's even if you can't hit it all across the park, even if you can nudge across and rotate strike makes a big difference. And that's where I know someone like Jason Holder always appeals to me because he may not be able to clear all across, but he can rotate strike in case he's unable to score on that particular day. So that could be, if I'm on the Indian camp, that could be an interesting. It probably helps me set the field a bit better. But you're right that against a Surya, that's difficult. And again, I think a lot. I mean, I know on paper, Team India looks solid to cross that 180, potentially 200. But I think a lot of these batsmen have a point to prove, but a lot of milestones to cross. I mean, Rohit, Surya probably are on a purple patch. Kohli, Ishan, Rishabh, like you rightly said, all of these guys are probably not functioning on all cylinders. I mean, Deepak, even Venkatesh. I think you made this point last time that had it not been for Surya on the other side, probably he wouldn't have made those 24 runs.
And
So a lot of
he would have felt the heat a lot more than he did. I mean, you could have
that's right.
still won the game, but he wasn't under any pressure because the other guys
Yeah,
say, okay, we are 8 runs behind, took 2 balls, 8 runs. Okay, now we are par. So you got somebody who's doing the job for you, making life easier for you. But then a chair comes or somebody else comes after that, then the onus is on you. Then you got to hit those 2 4s and 2 balls. And that's when you could perish because he's new to this position. He's not new to the game. He's been playing for a while, but he's new to this position. I know this is the first year that he's played in the middle order for MP. He's always batted at the top. Because
yeah.
India is seeing him in the middle order, he's coming back in the middle order. But playing Vijay Hazare and playing for India are two different things.
All right, we're just about 5 minutes away from the game. India bats, second T20, chance for India to seal the series. Jadipda, what's a score that you would like to see today where you think India would be comfortable crossing the line?
You know, unless there's a radical change, I don't see the West Indies players playing these spinners well. And then it could be 150, 150, 60. I feel anything below 180 is below par. I mean, if Indian team was batting against Indian bowling, they would get 180. Let me put it that way. Okay,
Well said.
because we
So
play spin as well. These are our boys. We know how to play them. So having said that, I think anything below 180. I mean, I think two teams evenly matched know each other well. This could be a 210, 220 wicket. I remember in the Sunil Narayan era, we were playing on wickets which were turning. One game we played on a wicket just on the next trip. And Brad Hodge and Oasis Shah were sitting with me in the dugout while the game was on. And they said that this is a 160 wicket. And I told them this is a 210 wicket. And we got 214 and we lost the game. Sangakkara got 100. It was against Kings 11 Punjab. It was actually Jaydev Unadkar's debut game. Because
right.
a lot in cricket depends on the pitch. Not so much in football,
Yeah.
it's just here and there in football. Even in tennis, I mean, I know the surfaces, but a clay court is a clay court, a grass court is a grass court. But in a grass court, now I'm doing a Ranji game. The wicket looked one way day one yesterday. I did the pitch report. I did the pitch report today. I'm sure tomorrow when I go, I'll see it's something totally different. Doesn't look like this was a pitch. So in cricket, the pitch makes a huge difference. It's a huge factor. That's why you got to play to that as well. It's just not the team and everything else that comes with it. The dew and the weather. The most important thing here in a cricket field is the cricket pitch, because that determines what's going to happen, because the ball always falls on the ground and comes. It's not baseball, it's not full tosses, you know,
That's
it's after pitching. So that's the reason why where it's pitching holds great importance.
all right, let's see how the pitch unfolds. And probably the other factor that helps is also the audience and crowd. Was good to see last time there were a few, folks in the stadium. I understand Eden is allowing about 25, 30,000 folks, because that can also make a huge difference, because that's what home advantage is all about, apart from, of course, knowing the pitch and conditions. Hopefully it's an entertaining game. Hopefully we cross that 180. I want to, from an Indian fan perspective, I want to see a 200 plus. I want to see a cracking opening partnership between Rohit and Ishan, because when Ishan is on, is in form, he's on song, he is someone else. Again, great range, great timing, naturally gifted touch player, as Joydipta said. But let's see what's in store. I never count out the West Indies, because these guys, I mean, they are just entertainers. They are, they love to live. Whether it's the Calypso spirit. So, we
Seeing the
should expect.
seeing the
Yes,
color of
please.
your t-shirt, I know you have not counted the West Indies out.
Not at all. No, I want a good series. I just love watching. If there is a team outside of India, and I think I probably speak for most cricketing nations. I think most cricketing nations, obviously today, love New Zealand for their spirit, but as an entertaining unit,
Oh
it's the
yes,
West
oh
Indies. I
yes.
mean,
And I just sometimes
it's
hope they had a little more discipline, but God doesn't give everything. If this team had can you imagine New Zealand's discipline and West Indies talent?
and West Indies spirit.
I'm glad they don't, because we'd be in trouble then.
Yes. All right, Jadita, let's go enjoy the game. Game's about to start. We'll catch you on the other side of the match. Let's enjoy.
Let's have a good one.
All right. See you later. Bye.